Welcome, Rangers fans, to another midweek coaches show where we recap all things Smithson Valley over the past 7 days and then end it with looking ahead to all things Smithson Valley for the next 7 days. And we'll start, as we always do, with what happened with our football program last week. We hosted a by-district game when we were the district champ. When you're the district champ, you get to host the first round game, and we did. We hosted the Georgetown Eagles here at Ranger Stadium last Friday night. Kind of a funny night, kind of a colder night, a little mist in the air, just kind of a funny atmosphere. But we won. We won that game and won the by-district championship over a really fine Georgetown team. Had good players, good coaches, proud tradition, and we feel good about getting that win. And let's open with their offense, Coach Westerfer. They were a little bit of a hard kill. We talked about it going in, how diverse their offense was. At times off schedule, at times very mainstream, and of course loaded with good players. And they jumped out to a 3-0 lead on us by taking the ball right down the field.
Yes, sir. They got a quick lead on us. I was proud of our defense bowing up once they got down the red zone. And that happens sometimes early in the game. The team comes out and you got to adjust a little bit to what their game plan for you is. And I thought our kids did that fairly well, and were able to hold them to a field goal, and then held them to that field goal for quite some time. And then, like we said all along, there were very multiple, a lot of different formations. Really put a lot of pressure on our kids as far as being able to do their assignment, do their job, every play out of all the different things they were doing.
Well, you mentioned holding them to 3. Then our offense is able to go out and go to that end of the field, and we get a 56-yard field goal from Clayton Amaya, our kicker, and ties it up at 3. Then we get a touchdown. We go in 10-3 at the half. Up. Kind of a back and forth game. But then I thought at halftime, defensively, as you said, we made some adjustments there. And really in the third quarter, I thought that's where the game was won. We shut them down in the third quarter.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I thought our kids did well trying to stop the run and make them one-dimensional.
Right.
That played out well for us for a while. We gave up a couple of passes late in the game, and
they got a few.
Let them sneak back into the game a little bit, but by then our offense had done a great job of going down and taking advantage of the fields and getting some points on the board, and we'd stretched a pretty good lead at that time.
Right. You mentioned getting a lead and the offense getting it going. Had a turnover on the first drive, but then went down and got a field goal to tie it, and then took a little while to kind of get the gears going offensively.
We did, and they're a little different, their defense is, and it took us a while to kind of figure out where are these blitzes coming from and what's their front going to be. I thought Georgetown did a tremendous job of changing up their front and their looks, which had us having to adjust on the sideline. But our kids did a great job, and you mentioned the early turnover. We had gone several weeks, I believe, without a turnover. So they did a good job of shaking that off and moving on, and we established the run, hit 2 deep balls to Jackson Duffy. Those were explosive plays and much needed times, one in the first half and then one in the second half. And then defense was holding them great in the second half. We had some really short fields and were able to capitalize to kind of pull away a little bit. Then a game-sealing drive, we used both of our running backs, Brad Sowersby and Cade Spradlin, kind of went in and split duty on this last drive when you can kind of have the feeling of if we can punch this one in, I think we're going to lock it up, and we marched down the field and we were able to score.
No doubt. And, you mentioned field position and defense and kicking game. It was a little breezy the other night, and I thought, us having the wind in the third quarter proved to be a big factor. We got some 3-and-out stops, some very short punts into the wind, and as Coach Hill said, some of our drives were 40 yards, 35, 45, 50-yard fields, which we were able to take advantage of, but it makes it a whole lot easier than going 75, 80, 85 yards. And by the time the fourth quarter got here and we turned the wind around, we were pretty far ahead at that point. So good win against a quality opponent in a big-time setting, and, of course, in Region 3 where we're situated, thanks to the UIL. Every game, it's not like some other districts in other areas and other parts of the state, where maybe the first few rounds are kind of softer opponents than you're used to playing, and then you have to ramp it up a little later. In Region 3, you play quarterfinal, semifinal, finalist type teams every week from the beginning. Georgetown certainly fit into that category, as does our next opponent, Magnolia West, who, of course, we have no familiarity with, us. is next in the area round, and that'll be Friday at meeting them at a neutral site at Temple High School, Wildcat Stadium there in Temple, Texas, and we'll talk about that game when we come back, what's coming up. But first, we're going to throw it over to Coach Melissa Miller, our Assistant Athletic Coordinator, and she's going to walk us through the previous week and all other things Smithson Valley. And Coach, take it away.
Bill, congrats to you guys on your first round win. Looking forward to catching you guys this week for round 2. Speaking of other sports going on, let's talk about girls basketball. So they had a tough loss last week against San Marcos, who is a very good basketball team. Really proud of the way the girls are playing. Coach Sutherland's happy with the improvement that he's seeing from game to game. Our sub-varsities participated in the Lavernia tournament this weekend. JV went 2-1, freshmen went 1-2, so getting some good wins and experience there. Boys basketball actually started their true preseason this past Saturday. They took on the New Braunfels Unicorns here in our gym. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. Tough loss, but those are always okay preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, show you the things that you kind of need to work on. They've been in there every morning and can hear them practicing. Sounds like it's going well. And then wrestling last week's kicked off their season. Thursday they actually hosted here. We had MacArthur boys and girls here, brought home wins in both of them.
And Coach Clarkson got his 300th and 301st win with both of those wins last week. It's fantastic.
Huge congrats to Coach Clarkson. He does a great job with our entire wrestling program, boys and girls, always successful, always really good student athletes. So congrats to you guys, and especially to you, Coach Clarkson. They also followed it up Saturday with a huge win. The Lady Rangers went to Steele for their wrestling invitational, and the girls brought home third. Coach Clarkson was really proud of them. We're going to hear from Ms. Snyder a little bit, and then we'll talk about where you can find them this week.
Okay, we just want to highlight a few groups and a few people this week. We want to especially mention theater. Theater just went through their performance of Hamlet. If you didn't get a chance to see that, it was
So good.
fantastic. Mm-hmm. The kids did a great job, and Mr. O'Brien directing them, and Mr. Black leading them. It was a fantastic performance. They also went to convention. We want to highlight a few things. Out of 2,800 students at the festival, we had the second most students receive a callback for theater, which is high commendations. Rowan Hamilton won first place for Democracy Works. Victoria Williams and Heaven Carter were the only Comal students to receive a 7 performance spot at closing ceremony, which is another accolade. And 12 out of our 14 representatives qualified for nationals. So we are very pleased with our theater group and what they're accomplishing this year. We also wanted to highlight Dalton Poussin. Not only did Dalton take up for himself to help welcome a new student when the teacher was out, he helped to get to know the student, how to use all the things that the student might need acclimation with being new to the campus. He also stays on top of his work and supports his fellow classmates. So we're very proud of you, Dalton. We also want to highlight Beth McPhail. Miss McPhail does amazing work with her government students. They wrote a proposition for the 28th Amendment, building critical thinking and writing skills. She provides harmonious classroom environment and works hard to create engaging and meaningful lessons. You can always count on her to greet you with a warm smile. SVHS is brighter due to Miss McPhail leading us. Thank you.
Awesome. Congrats to that student and teacher of the week. And let's talk about where you can find our athletes this week. So girls basketball today is heading to Burnett. They are going to play at 6:30 as varsity. Sub-varsity will play before that. And then this Thursday and through Saturday, varsity is going to head to the Southwest tournament. So it'll be a good 3 days of basketball for them. Lots of improvement, get to play lots of teams. We'll let you know how that turns out next week. If you're looking for our boys basketball, they are actually playing 2 games here this week. So tonight, Tuesday night, they will host San Marcos at 7 o'clock for varsity. Again, sub-varsities will play earlier. If you can't make it, then Friday they are hosting Clemens here at 7 o'clock with sub-varsities going earlier. So if you're looking to see a little glimpse of our basketball team before district starts, this week for boys is a good chance with 2 games here at Smithson Valley. And then wrestling is really picking up now. We talked about their success last week. Looking into this week, Thursday, they will head to Johnson High School. School for, I believe, a quad, which means there's 4 teams participating at 4 o'clock. And then Saturday, they will head to the Charger Classic, which will be hosted at Churchill High School. And that will also start at 4 o'clock. So good luck to girls basketball, boys basketball, wrestling. Swim is practicing. Soccer is about to get started. Golf is going. It's a busy time around here. So if you're looking for somebody to support or something to watch, there's always something going on here. And then we obviously can't leave without saying good luck to football. They will take on the Magnolia West Mustangs this Friday at Wildcat Stadium at Temple High School at 7 o'clock. We'd love to see you make the drive out there to take on the Mustangs. Speaking of Mustangs, I mean, the only ones that I know are our favorite, which are the Smithson Valley Middle School Mustangs. But I wonder how many other Mustangs we've played. It seems like a pretty common mascot.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. Coach Hill, tell us, how many other Mustangs have we played in our career?
Well, that's a good question. You know, no one on our in recent history schedule are the Mustangs. So Coach Wester's been here all 31 seasons that I have. We bumped into a few Mustangs, I guess. Who might that be?
Marble Falls jumps off the...
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
We never have been in their district, but we matched up against the Marble Falls Mustangs in some big non-district games. I think of a playoff game, John Jay, there in San Antonio. Played them twice.
2017, I believe.
Yeah, played them 17 and back in 05 and 06, I think. We played them over there at Ferris. Feel like there's one more.
It's Corpus Christi King, the Mustangs.
Corpus Christi King Mustangs. Played them in a non-district game a couple of times and then played them in a second or third round playoff game once. So maybe there's some more that Ranger fans that have been here a while can think of. Those are 3 that come to mind. And but this week, we've got the Magnolia West Mustangs. And unfortunately for us, they're very talented. They're very well coached. They have a great football tradition, and they're used to being here in mid-November in the second round and beyond. And it's funny how you always get those kind of teams when you're still playing in the mid-November and beyond. But they do have a talented football team. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be a 7 o'clock kickoff in Temple, Texas. It's somewhat of a neutral site between us and Magnolia. And they bring a lot to the table, and let's start with their offense. Pretty multi-dimensional, like a lot of people are, and Coach Westford a real challenge for our defense.
A real challenge, like you said, they're very well coached. That jumps off the tape right away. You know, I mean, they're very assignment sound. The kids know what they're doing. They execute it very well. They're very balanced. They run a lot of run-pass option game. You know, block a running play, but they have throws off of that. You know, and they do a good job of executing that. They got some, you know, 3-4 really explosive receivers that they've made a lot of hay throwing the ball down the field and getting deep balls on people. And then they got some solid running backs. They play 3 or 4 different running backs that are all really good. And you know, so they're good at running the ball and throwing the ball, as you would expect in this round of the playoffs. And there's not one thing we can, you know, look at and say, well, if we just take that away, we're going to win the game. I mean, we're going to have to take it both away. We're going to have to take the run away, and we're going to have to stop the passing game as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Try to get some takeaways, and as we mentioned earlier with our previous game, get some stops, and whether it's a short punt or a big punt return or a block punt, somehow set our offense up with some short fields that way. And their defense is kind of same song, second verse. With what Coach Westford said.
That's right. Yeah, really talented. They have a Mike linebacker, I believe, committed to Stanford. He's all over the field. He's a really good player. They move him around a little different from last week with Georgetown in the sense of they're bringing some exotic blitzes. These guys more change up their front, shifting some guys over, covering up different linemen. But, you know, as we've learned in the last 11 weeks, I think our offensive line and tight end room really are some of the brightest guys that we have, and they're able to adjust and they're able to recognize different fronts and make their calls. And, you know, we'll put a bunch on their plate this week, as we always do, and same with our quarterback. You know, hopefully Ryland can check us in and out of some plays, and we'll kind of allow Ryland to hold the chalk last at times and get us into the correct play based on what look they're going to give us.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You know, so often we talk about quarterbacks making decisions, throwing to this one or that one, but we put a lot on our quarterback. No, get us to this running play or this passing play.
That's
or
right.
This running play or no, a different running play. And that's not necessarily visible on the screen or if you're at the game in person, but very valuable part of what we do. And he's done a great job with that all year long. And our kicker continues to impress. He just went ahead and made him a 37-yard field goal and then followed that up with a 56-yard field goal, which is a school record, and made all of his extra points, and all but one of his kickoffs were touchbacks, which continues to help our defense. They run out on the field, and those guys are backed up on their own end of the field because of kickoff and kickoff coverage. And Clay has played extremely well. Also punted 41 yards into about a 15-mile-an-hour wind the other night. So stuff that people don't talk about much, but we certainly do. And I think our fans that pay attention certainly realize the value that he brings to our team. So another big challenge ahead this week, 7 o'clock in Temple against Magnolia West. And we'll be back here next week to recap that. And hope you'll make the trip up I-35 and support us. Thanks for being here today, and we'll see you next time.